Hello, my Bill 5000 Nation. How is everyone doing today? We're back with another video. Let's go ahead and get into it because I'm excited. So go ahead and turn the lights down low, put on something comfy, cuddle up with someone special. Let's get spooky. We're going to start this one off with some slapped ham. It is called Terrifying Paranormal Videos No One Can Explain. Let's get into it, y'all.
In June 2021, paranormal investigators Lalo Escalante decided to search a local cemetery in Culiacan, Mexico. They had heard rumors of strange things happening on the property. Locals often report hearing screams and spot unusual shadowy figures walking through the property late at night. The most unsettling story revolves around a supposed haunted doll that sits in one of the graves. It's said to come alive and move among the tombstones. Under the glow of a full moon, the investigators explore the graveyard. For the first 10 minutes or so, the YouTubers appear on edge. They claim to hear strange noises coming from all directions of the cemetery.
¿Alguien ahí?
After exploring for some time, they come across a mausoleum and look inside to find a tall doll with lengthy blonde hair standing next to a large cross and flowers.
Ay, la madre. Estoy cagado, güey. Estoy que le recagado, güey.
What happens next is sure to give you the chills. Watch.
Amigos, eso estaba así. No mames. No mames. ¿Crees que la abrió ella, güey?
No mames.
Pero qué pedo, güey. No mames. Esto se abrió sola, cabrón. No mames.
What the hell?
Chicho se movió con la muñeca, güey. La madre, güey.
No!
Ay, güey.
Did y'all see that? That's the bride of Chucky right there. What? Nah, I'll be out there. Nah, that investigation be over. I wouldn't be there no more. Whoa, no. I get it, legit moved.
Esto se abrió sola, cabrón. No mames. La muñeca se movió, Chicho. Chicho se movió con la muñeca, güey. La madre, güey.
Whoa.
La madre, güey.
Yeah, ghost real. I wouldn't be there no more.
As you can see, the doll appears to move inside the sealed mausoleum.
La muñeca se movió, Chicho. Chicho se movió con la muñeca, güey. La madre, güey.
There's no doubt about it, viewers have been terrified by this clip. There seems to be no way that the doll could move without the explanation of something otherworldly. To make this incident even scarier, a month prior, a separate group of urban explorers known as Urbex MX captured the exact same doll moving on its own. Take a look.
Ay, mamacita, se movió, güey. Se movió, güey. Se movió, güey. No mames. Se movió, güey.
This incident was captured during a live stream. Hundreds of viewers watched in real time as the doll moved inside the mausoleum.
Ay, mamacita, se movió, güey. Se movió, güey. Se movió, güey. No mames. Se movió, güey.
So is this graveyard home to restless spirits? And is this doll really possessed by some unknown entity? According to these two separate accounts, it would appear so.
Ay, mamacita, se fue mamón, güey. Se movió, güey. Neta, se movió, güey.
Nope.
Hey peeps,
Not
just a
me.
quick interlude to let you know today's video
Would
is
not be
sponsored
there.
by an awesome new app called Chilling. In Milingimbi in the Northern Territory of Australia, 4 young kids had a strange encounter with an unknown entity. The clip was sent to us by viewer Dallas DH. In the video we can see 3 young boys in the centre of frame. They believe that the cameraman's taking a photo, so they begin to pose, but the cameraman is actually joking around and taking a video. A few moments into the clip we see something creepy happen. Watch. As you
What
can
was
see at the
that?
very bottom right of the frame, a terrifying shadowy figure crawls on the ground right behind the boys. They all scream and begin to run away as the video ends. So what could this strange shadow be? During World War II, the remote area of
I don't know,
Milingimbi
but
was
they
bombed in a series of
scream.
Japanese air raids. 2 people were killed.
Like, that makes me believe that's real just by the pure fear you could hear in those poor kids. Oh god, they screamed so bad. It was horrible. Yeah. I don't think that was rehearsed or nothing, cause you can't mimic that fear.
And 15 others injured during the attack. So could this clip show evidence of a lingering spirit? All across the world, in areas affected by war, soldiers and civilians alike have reported seeing strange shadowy figures lurking in their periphery or hiding in the corners of a room. Some paranormal experts believe these shadowy beings are drawn to areas where a tragedy has taken place, feeding on the negative energy. So did these kids encounter an infamous shadow figure? Watch the footage again and judge for yourself. Paranormal places don't just attract ghosts, they also attract the curiosity of paranormal investigators. The YouTube channel Paranormies thrives off spooky locations, attempting to catch as many ghostly sightings and events as possible. In one video shared to the channel, the YouTubers decide to explore a church in St. Elizabeth in Quebec. The tiny community was first established in 1898 and grew over time to encompass several stores and businesses. Over its history, it's seen plenty of tragedy, including the death of several children due to scarlet fever in 1910. A fire in 1918 destroyed the large barn in town that housed nearly 20 horses. Soon after, the town's barber lost his children in an accident involving an explosion of a lamp. There were additional deaths due to other fires and floodings in the decades that followed, leading many to speculate that ghosts haunt the area. The video follows the 2 YouTubers exploring the area's only church. They come across a noose hanging from the ceiling while exploring the uppermost part of the church.
Look how high it goes up here.
While inspecting the noose, they hear disembodied voices, almost like a man moaning from downstairs.
Yeah, you can barely hear that.
There's people here.
They head back down, only to see their motion sensor doll going off about 100 feet away, suggesting nearby activity.
Whoa. Whoa. Dude. There's no way. That was not us. Turn the mics on.
That doll's creepy. I seen that doll in another video.
Okay.
I don't like dolls.
After some more exploring, the YouTubers decide to set up a camera in the room with the noose.
Don't
As
like
they're doing
dolls,
so,
don't
their
like clowns.
EVP picks up what sounds like a British man saying the word worth.
Right here?
The video then cuts to a close-up of both YouTubers' hands on a planchette attempting to talk to any present spirits.
So you need to move this planchette.
You just say yes. Just move it to yes.
Then the camera in the newsroom appears to capture the sounds of footsteps. We're then brought back to the two men speaking to possible spirits. Suddenly, a loud sound can be heard.
Oh, dude, that scared me.
Hello? Hello?
The investigators later find that a ladder inexplicably fell over while they were interacting with the
I'd be gone. Oh, left them fools there. I'd been halfway home by now. Nope.
Ouija board. The final scene of the video finds the two men back in the newsroom. One of them sits down, undergoing sensory deprivation.
Benny. Sight.
Was that you that knocked the ladder over downstairs?
The cameraman asks some questions.
Why are you here?
After about 30 seconds, something truly terrifying happens. Watch.
Why are you staying here? Why are you staying here? Dude, go, 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 go. I can't see. Grab the light, grab the light, grab the light, grab the light.
Whoa.
YouTuber's beanie is slowly pulled back by an invisible force.
Dude, go, 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 go. I can't see. Grab the light, grab the light, grab the light.
In response, the two men jump up and run out of the room.
Why are you staying here? Dude, go, 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 go. I can't see. Grab the light, grab the light, grab the light.
Thousands of viewers of this video have been stunned.
I would have crapped everywhere. No. No. I would have been terrified. Because no. I mean, it literally looked like it grabbed a hold of him, just kind of like I was trying to like maybe pull his head back or something. I don't
Stunned
know.
by the beanie being pulled backwards. Many took
Maybe I was trying to pull his head back so I can put the noose around it.
it as a
I'd be down.
sign that the spirit or spirits of the
No.
church were starting to get upset and decided to spook the boys in order to get them out of the building.
Dude, go, 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 go.
The community's history is certainly interesting and riddled with death, so perhaps it's no surprise the church is filled with such frightening incidents. If this footage is genuine, it would have to be one of the most startling paranormal encounters
That would have done more
ever
than
caught
frighten
on
me.
film.
I would have pooed everywhere.
Why are you staying here? Dude, go, 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 go.
Right there.
I can't see. Grab the light, grab the light, grab the light, grab the light.
People associate many things with K-pop, catchy songs, flashy outfits, and die-hard fans to name a few. But what about the paranormal? Viewers noticed something very mysterious occurring in a YouTube video uploaded by NCT Daily that shows NCT members Mark and Yuta enjoying a meal at a restaurant. What was supposed to be a cute vlog turned into something that's making many people scratch their heads. The first few minutes of the video show the two K-pop members arriving at the restaurant, ordering their meal and chatting about various things. Everything seems normal until one of the members mentions there's things happening in the world that are hard to explain. This quickly leads to a discussion on aliens and whether they exist either on Earth or in the universe as a whole. Soon, the conversation turns to other topics, but that's when something strange happens. Take a look. The fork in front of Mark suddenly slowly moves backwards on its own and tumbles down to the floor. Mark looks down confused, asking Yuta if he had somehow pushed the fork. Yuta denies this, equally confused, but the boys just shrug it off and move on. What makes this video strange is the fact that the boys have been talking about otherworldly things right before the incident happened. Could they somehow have conjured up a mysterious force who decided to make themselves known by moving the fork? Or is it all just a prank, as many think? There's no clear answer, but there's no denying this is certainly a very strange moment indeed.
That
A
was
vehicle
that's
arriving
scary.
out of nowhere, picking up no passengers and seeming to vanish into thin air. It sounds like something right out of the Twilight Zone. For Slaptown viewers Lynn and Brittany M, this situation turned into a reality, with a limo captured on film outside their apartment late one night. The limo was not seen arriving nor leaving from any other camera in the complex, and no one claimed to have ordered a limo service that late at night, chilling out all who viewed the clip. We see CCTV footage of the parking lot outside of the viewer's apartment building. In the background, we can see the limo in question appear and slowly drive up the parking lot. It's what happens next that has left the tenants of this apartment complex creeped out. Watch. As the vehicle turns, it seems to disappear completely, with the rest of the parking lot remaining completely quiet. The tenants emphasise that the complex has about 20 cameras on the property that are motion activated, making it extra bizarre that the limo was not caught anywhere else. So how is it a car of this size could somehow disappear without a trace, and how is it not seen anywhere else on the property?
Oh, I'm not supposed to know.
Until this limo is spotted again or more info comes to hand,
not
this strange
showing us-
incident will have to remain a
They
complete
could have cut
mystery.
that, like, right there. They could have cut it.
Orbs have been a source of debate in
And
the
then put more
paranormal
in it.
community for
Am I wrong? They could have cut it right there, put 'em, and then just picked it up after it was gone. And it ain't like they showed us like all the videos showing where it would have pulled in, pulled out, and everything else. And there was no timestamp on it. I'm calling bull.
as long as anyone can remember. Are these floating balls of light really spirits? Slaptown viewer Stacey W. from Memphis, Tennessee shared footage taken in her home, featuring a potential orb that is sure to arise speculation among viewers. The footage shows Stacey's kitchen at nighttime. Immediately, we can see the little orb of light dancing around the kitchen, first moving towards the refrigerator, where it seems to bounce around before moving back to the center of frame.
It's a bug.
The orb continues to move around for the rest of the video, occasionally disappearing from frame only to reappear once again.
That's a bug.
Stacey explained that she first spotted the orb when checking a security camera alert on her phone that showed activity in the kitchen. She saw that her children were sneaking in a late night snack and that an orb seemed to be floating around in the space near them. She asked her children to go back to bed but noticed the orb still remained. She went to the kitchen to see if she could see anything in person, but there was nothing there, though she felt a strange presence in the air before leaving. At times during the video, it seems that the orb could actually be a spider web caught in front of the security camera's lens. This sometimes happens with security cameras, giving the impression that there's an orb when it's actually just an insect floating around.
I see it glare off of.
Still, the possible orb's movements are very erratic, throwing into doubt this theory, and leaving the mystery open for all to interpret. Let me know what you think down below.
Even be like, yeah, it is.
Before we take a look at some possible poltergeist
That's
activity,
not an orb.
remember to hit that subscribe button, then
I don't
tickle that
care,
little bell
yeah.
icon there.
That's not an orb.
Unfortunately for TikToker Bunny Squid 95, the new apartment she moved into with her fiance above a decrepit house is far from comforting. Instead, the videos she's shared display quite the opposite. In the first clip, the TikToker explains that it's midnight and that she's just heard some strange noises.
Hey guys, it's 12 o'clock in the morning, and I heard some weird noises.
She moves the camera around and we can see objects falling around her.
12 o'clock in the morning, and I heard some weird noises. Jesus Christ. Oh my God.
In the second clip, the TikToker is in the kitchen and tells viewers that she went to turn the light on when more weird things began to happen.
Okay, so I just got up to turn the light on, and there's still... Okay, and yeah, okay.
We can see a cupboard door open on its own, a magnet falls from the fridge, and something drops from the kitchen counter.
And yeah, okay. Yeah, there's still weird happening. Okay, goodbye.
The final clip finds the TikTok user explaining that the fan in her apartment is just a regular oscillating fan. Some viewers of previous videos had speculated that her fan could be the instigator of all the abnormal activity, but she denies this. She whips the camera around to face the kitchen where objects on the counter budge.
So I was going to just record and see what...
She continues to explain that most of the activity happens in the kitchen, and as she does so, more objects ruffle around.
Activity is centered mostly in my kitchen.
Soon after, we can hear the sound of an object falling nearby.
Yeah, a lot of weird stuff happens down there too.
Viewers had plenty of suggestions. One speculated that this could be the ghost of a cat, as the objects seemed to be knocked over as if played with by a small animal. Others thought that this was indeed a ghostly spirit that wanted to mess with the new apartment renters in order to get them to leave. People suggested that the woman sage her apartment, or perhaps even call a priest for help. So what do you guys think? Love to get your opinions on this one in the comments section below.
Record.
Well,
and
there's this little thing I call magician stream or magic stream. It won't be hard to fake any of that. Just saying. I'm just saying.
see what? What happened?
Now, if you want.
Alright, let's move on.
Llama sale! Llama sale!
This is Creature in the Forest by, as you can tell, Llama Arts.
Oh, we've got big llamas, little llamas. What about medium-sized llamas? No.
My parents were traveling for the weekend, as it was their anniversary, and to no surprise, they wanted to be alone. This meant that I had to take care and be in charge of my little brother, Oliver. Our home and neighborhood were surrounded by woods, and Ollie liked ambling around the trail that was behind our house, but he couldn't go back there without permission. So naturally, since I was 18 and he was 10, I'd have to go with him for precautionary purposes. It was a little while before lunch, so I decided to join Ollie in his trek, so that way my appetite would be in a more salubrious state. It was spring, and the leaves were meager and just starting to grow back onto the trees, which also meant I had to watch out for any sort of dangerous animals that could possibly lurk out and cause harm to any of us. I could hear Ollie sniffing the air, and then him groaning at something.
Something smells like shit.
He said nasally, as he pinched his nostrils shut. Hey, watch your mouth, I retorted, surprised by the sudden curse. Just because Mom and Dad aren't here doesn't mean you're allowed to say whatever. I did, however, sniff the air. He was right. There was a smell of rotten meat that permeated my nose. It was like roadkill. I saw what looked like legs by a tree about several yards from us. Stay right there, okay? I instructed Ollie. He nodded in agreement while keeping his hand on his nose. I leisurely walked forward and turned the tree to see what the thing was. It was a deer, and it was dead all right. Flies droned and swarmed around it. I was used to seeing dead animals around here. Hunting was pretty frequent. But there was something that rather took me aback. It was the fact that the way its neck had been ravaged into, it was almost entirely gone and torn down to the bone. A bear would go down to the muscle and stop there, but to the bone? This had to have been from something much more vicious. But what? I looked back to see if Ollie had actually done what I urged him to. He did, but he was peering out to the woods. His eyes, so fixated, were filled with concern and his face unnerved. "You okay, bud?" I asked, noticing his expression. "Something's out there," he murmured as he continued to seem alarmed. I looked to see if he was kidding around. All that was in my view were the trees and brush. It might have been a deer or something. Don't worry so much. Come on, let's go back and get some lunch. And so we did, just to reassure him. I made ourselves some peanut butter and jelly sandwiches as we watched a movie for a bit. Ollie usually liked his sandwiches, and he'd been done with it in a few minutes, but he ate his so sluggishly. I didn't bother asking what he saw, because I figured
Well, maybe it was the smell of the dead, rotting deer. He just wasn't all that hungry for smelling and seeing that. I mean, I don't think I would have wanted a peanut butter and jelly sandwich after all that either. It would have took me a minute.
that he must have scared himself and that he'd get over it in a while. However, the back of my mind was still unsettled by that deer. How could its neck have been mutilated like that to such a grisly state? Night dawned upon both of us, and Ollie was begging me to let him sleep beside me as I put him to bed. "What's gotten into you?" I asked him. "That thing's still out there. It was staring at me. It was dark and big. Bigger than you. I'm sure you just scared yourself. If anything was out there, it wasn't anything dangerous." He continued to beg me, but I kept refusing, and told him to close his eyes and that he'd forget about it in the morning. I laid down in my bed, ready for a good rest. I like keeping my TV on just so I have a source of light in my room. I felt my eyes starting to sag and get heavy as I slowly felt myself growing drowsy. There was a sudden snap from outside. It sounded like a stick being splintered. I figured it was some animal, like another deer, but what would be out at this time of night? My TV was still on, so I decided to watch a little bit more, just so I could go back to sleep. Without even thinking, my gaze floated to the window, and my heart punched the inside of my chest. There was something at the window. I couldn't see what it was, save for the eyes. They were milky and opaque, almost lifeless, but they were staring right through me. I tried to make it seem like I didn't see the figure outside, and just roll over onto my stomach and pretend to be asleep to try and avert it. I then heard something against the glass. The thing was scratching my window. The sound was piercing my ears and grated at my nerves. My chest started to feel full as my breath started to shorten. My window was starting to open, and I could hear that thing climbing into my room. Its presence was clearly made, as its shadow covered my entire bed in black. I sat there hyperventilating for what seemed like hours, until I felt the mattress start to sink in. The springs groaned as the thing had climbed onto the bed. I felt I could literally die from fright right there. The thing started to move across my bed. I was trying my best not to breathe so hard, but I was completely terror-stricken. It then stopped and stood right at my shoulders. I felt its giant feet clasping onto my shoulder blades. I could hardly breathe. I had a mirror to my right that allowed me to see what was above me, and chills ran down my spine. The creature was black, large, and at least 7 feet tall and lanky. Its arms went down to its calves. Its chest leaned over me and stretched to an impossible degree. It didn't even look human or animal. It seemed alien. I shut my eyes tight, hoping that it was just some dream. I could start to hear the creature's heavy breaths and growling. It sounded like a dog, but much more disturbing. As it
No. See, that's why you sleep with a chainsaw. right next to you. He would have turned around, head off, flying across the room. Nah. No, that'd freak me the hell out. I ain't gonna lie. Nah, I'd be done.
Grasped harder. I feared the worst. My ears were ringing. I wasn't breathing while I bit my tongue. My eyes were shut so tight, and the blood flow in my head stopped almost completely. Something then beckoned it off of me, and the creature leapt off. Through my ringing ears, I thought I could hear something like thumps and rusty hinges. I painfully felt the blood flow starting to come back, and I blacked out. Morning came and I had a massive headache now, and my chest felt so tight. I needed to go wake up Ollie and make breakfast, and I reluctantly did so. I went into his room but found his bed empty. I checked all of downstairs to check if he was there somewhere. Nothing. I then thought of the one place he could definitely be if he was hiding. I went outside and took to the path in the back of the woods. I walked some ways while trying to get over the pain in my head when I saw his bare feet by the tree. "Ollie," I said, exhausted and annoyed in my grimace. "Come on, what are you—" I stopped. I felt my whole entire world collapse as I was bludgeoned with every single negative emotion possible. I put two and two together, and it answered my questions as it brought my distress up tenfold.
Ollie did.
Ollie was sitting there. His skin was pale. His cloudy eyes trickled with blood, and his neck was mangled to the bone. He was dead. He wasn't lying. That creature was still out there.
Whoa. That was a little much. I'm just saying. Like, wow.
Bro, we are an animal.
Okay, that's you gotta love Llama Arts. I'm just saying. Alright, so we moving on to a little bit of a life of luxury. There's something wrong with her dog. Poor dog. Now, no, life of luxury is not scary. I love life of luxury though. It's.
Bro, we are in animal control. This isn't our job.
His barks don't sound the same anymore, and he just acts really aggressive towards me.
We're gonna set up some cameras in this place. Just try to see what he's doing at night. Hello, Lux Army. Let's try to smash 100,000 likes to show how strong we are. So for this episode, we received an email from a 19-year-old girl named Anna. Anna says that her dog ran away into the woods, and when he crawled back into the house, something was wrong with him. She says that she hears cracking noises when he...
Maybe he got rabies. That would explain a lot. Put him down like Odio.
He walks, and that his skin looks like it doesn't fit his body. She also says that her dog gets very angry if she tries to turn on the lights. She sent us this video for proof. So today we're gonna drive out to Anna's house to try to find out what's going on with her dog. Let's go.
Put it down.
So how are you feeling about this case?
Dude, I just don't know what her dog acting weirdly has to do with us.
Well, she sounded really worried in the email she sent us, so let's just go check this out.
Bro, we are in animal control. This isn't our job.
Well, if she wants our help, let's just go try to give it to her, okay?
Whatever.
Sometimes I feel bad for poor old Chester.
What's going on?
she is.
Hi, Anna. Hi, it's nice to meet you. I'm Parker. Hi. Can we come in?
Just need to be quiet. I don't want you to wake up.
Okay, let's go. Okay, Anna, thank you for letting us sit down with you.
Too.
Okay.
So you were...
Okay. Yeah, she acting a little weird herself. It's contagious.
a little vague in the email you sent us. Can you tell us more about what your dog's been doing?
2 nights ago, he saw something in the woods. He started darting after it, and I couldn't stop him. And I called his name, and I looked in the woods, but I couldn't even find him.
What?
I was worried that he ran away, but then I heard my front door open. But he didn't greet me. He just crawled up the stairs, and he just went to a room.
Why do you...
Did she say she heard her door open? So this dog just has the ability to open the front door.
I think he's acting like this.
I don't know. His barks don't sound the same anymore, and he just acts really aggressive towards me. I caught him sitting in the corner of my room the other night, just watching me.
I'm sorry, what does this have to do with us? This is kind of like the job for animal expert.
I just didn't know what else to do.
Do you think that something in the woods might have scared or hurt him?
I don't know. There's also something wrong with his body, like his bones have been sticking out of his skin.
Listen, Anna, I understand you're scared right now, but I think you really need to show us this dog.
I'll take you to him.
Okay, let's go. He's in here?
Yeah.
Can I change the lights on?
No, don't turn them on. I think they hurt his eyes. He almost bit me last time.
Okay, we'll go in. Thanks. There it is. What?
What's wrong with it?
Bro, there's something wrong with that thing.
Do you think that something's wrong with him?
Yeah. Listen, if you just want to go to sleep, we're going to set up some cameras in this place. Just try to see what he's doing at night that's making all those noises.
Okay.
We're going to make sure nothing goes wrong, okay?
Okay.
Alright, okay, let's get to work. If you just want to go to sleep.
Bro, what was back there?
Dude, there's something wrong with that thing.
What? What are you talking about? Are you sure this isn't for animal control?
I don't know, let's just set up the cameras.
Okay.
Yeah, I love that enthusiasm. I don't know.
That's good, come on. Camera here. Okay. Let's put a camera in the dog's room. Yeah, let's go. Okay, so we just got back to the car to watch these cameras. We have one in Anna's room, the hallway, and the dog's room.
Dude, you saw that dog. What's wrong with it? Is it sick or something?
Bro, it just did not look normal to me.
I just don't think we should be dealing with a sick dog like this.
Dude, let's just watch the cameras for a little bit and see what this dog's doing at night, okay?
All right. Dude, wait, go back to the dog's room. I think he's waking up.
Okay. Okay, well, he's coming out from behind the cabinet.
Dude, why does he move so strangely?
Let's just see what he does.
Dude, what kind of noise is that?
I don't know, why does it sound so sick?
Dude, I'm really freaking out right now. Is Anna waking up?
Let me see. Okay, so it looks like she's still asleep. Let's just keep watching this thing to see if he does anything else, okay?
Okay. Dude, where the hell is this dog going?
Is he going to Anna's room?
Why is he walking like that?
Bro, I think we need to go inside.
Not yet. He's just looking at her. I want to see what he does. Oh, is he licking her hand?
Why is his tongue so long?
Bro, he's standing up! It's not a dog! It's not a dog! Hurry! Bro, hurry!
Where's the dog? Where's the dog? Where's he?
Yo, dude, I heard something!
What? Yo, check the back door, bro.
Yo, what's this stuff on the ground?
Yo, what is this stuff?
Is this part of the dog?
Yo, let's go tell Anna. Let's go. Let's go. Anna. Yo, that was not your dog. We need to go now, okay? Come on.
Let's go.
Let's go. Come
Why
on.
do you need to go now? It's gone. Why would you need to leave now? It's not in the house no more. Just shut the door and lock it. Alright, we drove Anna back to our house and we have no idea who that man was. Apparently, animal control located her actual dog.
Thank you guys for watching this episode. Let's try to smash 100,000 likes for the next episode to be released. I can't believe I'm saying this, but thank you guys so much for 2 million subscribers. Thank you to everyone who supported us. To be released. Again, thank you so much for 2.
Alright, so that was Life of Luxury. How's everyone doing? Oh. Oh God. Okay, so wow, that's
Number 15.
this is top 15, and this one is top 15 scary videos you should not watch at night. Oh, chills.
A YouTuber named Ariette Jane is live streaming a road trip when suddenly an unidentified creature bursts through the traffic, nearly causing a...
My question is, why is he dressed up like the Green Arrow? I mean, what?
15. A YouTuber named Ariette
Dressed up
Jane
like
is
the
live
Green
streaming a road trip when suddenly an unidentified creature bursts through the traffic, nearly causing a wreck.
Here we are. San Diego Freeway coming up.
The Flash?
We are there. Dude! What the hell was that? He wasn't on a motorcycle.
The speeding object leaves a short trail of fire behind, almost like it has a turbocharger of some sort, yet it's going way too fast to be an ordinary vehicle. My guess is this is computer generated special effects, but if that is the case, then I don't know how he got the cars to slow down all at once to make this shot look so realistic. Maybe there was traffic ahead or something and he edited this creature in later. Either way, Ariette Jane swears that this video is 100% real.
And he's 100% full of it. There's no way that that is real. For one, he is dressed up like Green Arrow. For two, that was probably supposed to be the Flash. For three, you hear alarms on cars going off, and no cars are just parked with their alarms siren. How are you going to have your car alarm going off while you're driving?
And I'd like to know if you agree with him or not. This driver in Singapore is just listening to some music when the taxi in front of him has a car problem from out of this world.
What is going on? Did you see the light? It literally came down from beside and looked like it went into... Hold up. Hold up.
In Singapore is just listening to some music when the taxi in front of him has a car problem from out of this world. Some sort of sentient and aggressive mist enters through the window and forces the taxi driver to pull over. You can see the inside of the cab light up a few times.
Okay, that's creepy. I mean, that could be very good. See, I don't know. I mean, it could be added in, right? Right.
As some sort of paranormal altercation ensues. It could be CGI, but the video ends abruptly, so it looks like we won't know what really happened, or if everyone inside was okay or not. Number 14. This old VHS tape of a girl dancing is definitely paranormal, at least if you believe what the uploader Sharon Bailey has to say. First, an orb floats up towards the child between the 13 and 14 second mark. Shortly afterwards, a strange mist fills the air. Maybe it's something else, but I'm not sure because it seems to specifically wrap itself around the child.
It literally looks like cigarette smoke. It's an old VHS, so it's probably cigarette smoke, 'cause, yeah.
The last part is what has Sharon convinced that this is paranormal. She says that there were no other children in the house, but 31 seconds into the video, another little girl runs by at full speed. Her footsteps don't make a single sound. Take a listen.
It's VHS. It's probably been recorded over 100 times. That's how it was back in the... But yeah, back in the day, you didn't have someone buying 100 different VHS tapes. You literally just recorded over and over. I mean, I could have been a football game. I mean, how are we supposed to know for sure? You know?
Listen. The camera was picking up little coughs and other background noise, so it definitely should have recorded running footsteps. Also, neither the dancing girl nor the dog seem to notice anyone is running straight towards them. Number 13. This urban CCTV footage was taken at a pedestrian crosswalk in Mexico City. A young girl with black hair over her face materializes in front of a car and makes no attempt to move out of the way. Somehow the automobile is able to pass through her without causing any damage. This eerie incident was captured on multiple CCTV cameras, though I suppose this could be faked with some skillful editing. Cora MK2 is a serious motorcycle
you can still see it, like, as the SUV is going through, you can still see the outline of her body. It was like a ghost, and you wouldn't see it because it'd be, like, inside the SUV as the SUV is going. It's fake.
Enthusiast with a YouTube channel detailing his many road adventures. One night he is biking across a normal looking bridge in Pasadena, California. When he sees something particularly unsettling, be sure to watch the right side or you'll miss it.
There's someone standing on the side of the road.
You might have missed it anyway, so here it is again.
This girl right here, she's just standing there. She's not walking, she's just standing there, and you can't really...
It's important to note that the replay was not edited. After I knew where to look, I was able to go back to the original footage and see her easily. Cora MK2 says that the girl was smiling, though the camera isn't able to pick up the details of her face. Apparently, so many people have taken their lives on this bridge that it's got.
Or maybe it was just like a tourist and she was walking because it looks like a pretty long bridge and she was stopping to take a little bit of a break. But you're reaching, Chills. Come on, bruh.
Gotten to a point where they had to install fences as a deterrent. Perhaps this girl was either contemplating taking her life, or was the spirit of someone who already has. Number
Or someone
12.
walking.
At first glance, this video looks like an ordinary city surrounded by either pollution or fog. But that's not even close to what's really happening here. One day, the citizens of a Chinese city called Dalian are surprised to find an exact mirror image of their own city hovering over the horizon. This video was taken at Seaport, which means this mirror city is actually floating on the water. I highly doubt this is a real city, so it's probably some sort of optical illusion. With that said, it's not an optical illusion called the Fata Morgana's effect, because as far as I know, that should only affect things that are physically in the water. I have been unable to find a scientific explanation for this event, and I encourage you to share your own theory. Chad Beauchamra and his family are enjoying themselves on Lake Michigan when an unexplainable cloud formation leaves them breathless.
Wow, that is so wild.
The long tube-like cloud stretches on for miles, making a creepy twisting motion as it
It's far from scary, but it is very, very cool looking.
moves on. Scientists have named this a morning glory cloud because they do not have a strong grasp as to why or how it exists. The few people who have seen morning glory clouds often describe feeling incredibly small and unimportant in the moment, a feeling that stays with them for a long time. What causes this remains a mystery. Number 11. 16-year-old Kyle Plush calls the Cincinnati Police Department for help after the backseat of his minivan somehow folds over and pins him alive. He is completely trapped and can't do anything with his hands, so he calls 911 using voice-activated commands. This is what he tells the dispatcher.
I'm in help! Help! Help!
Police are unable to locate him, and everyone starts to wonder if this was a fake call. Soon they receive a second call, this time much more urgent. Listen to this part and tell me if there's any way that you could think this could be fake.
Don't have much time left to tell my mom that I love her if I die. This is not a joke. This is not a joke.
The desperation in his voice sounds pretty obvious, but somehow the dispatcher allegedly thought this was not real and did not relay important information to patrol cars that could have helped him. 6 hours later, Kyle Plush was found crushed in the parking lot of his school by his father. Let me know if you think the dispatch operator should be charged or not based on what you've been shown.
I mean, if it's real, most definitely. Like, I understand you get fake phone calls, but it is your job to investigate it, even if it is fake. It's what you're paid for.
Number 10. A local journalist is covering the wintry weather in Springfield, Massachusetts, when a much more interesting story pops up behind her.
6:15 to 6:30, it has not let up at all. It is coming down pretty steadily here in Springfield.
The creature looks slow and powerful as it lumbers towards them. Bad weather or not, I find it hard to believe that a monster would just walk around a busy town without some sort of immediate police response. It doesn't look like computer-generated effects, so this was likely just a person in a costume. Number 9. This giant moving vat is supposed to pour molten steel into a receiving chamber, where it can be cooled and molded. This receiving must already be full though, because the red-hot liquid quickly boils over, and the intense heat causes a huge chain reaction. Liquid steel now blankets the floor as the vat continues to do its automated job, sending more of the lava-like substance spraying everywhere. At 5 minutes and 40 seconds, you can see 2 scared factory workers emerge from their hiding spot around the corner, where they must have been the entire time. They are extremely lucky to be alive. One whiff of the toxic steam would be enough to singe their lungs. Number 8. A YouTuber named Tracy Slaughter and her family hear a disturbance at the top of the steps, and they grab the camera to record what they are seeing for proof. It starts out very hard to see at first, but soon a pale white outline slowly appears against the wall. The head becomes visible in the very center of the room where the 2 wall patterns meet.
I didn't say lights.
Oh my
You didn't
God.
say lights.
Did
you say go across? A light go across the top of the landing.
If you still don't see it, don't feel bad. The next part is much more obvious. Keep looking at the center of the stairway to see it.
It's only just gone across the top of the landing, and that's moving.
Can you ever see it?
Oh,
A being of pure white energy rushes down the steps and heads straight at them. If you play it in slow motion, you can see something actually comes around the corner and charges down the steps at them, sending everyone scattering. I guess this could be special effects, but I would like to get your opinion. The way everyone screams at the exact same time with true panic in their voices makes me think it could be real, in which case I'm glad they got out of there fast. If it was rushing forward to possess one of them, then I truly hope it does not succeed. Number 7. This Great Dane is walking through the kitchen when a small object crosses its path. Another orb passes by and immediately gets noticed. You don't have to be an animal lover to tell this dog is clearly surprised and uncertain at what it's seeing. The animal freezes in place and then switches into hunting mode, tracking something invisible all throughout the house. I guess the dog could just be reacting to an insect or something, but that doesn't explain one last part, which occurs approximately 1 minute and 23 seconds into the video. This is the exact moment when the headlights of a passing car illuminate a shadowy figure as it runs from left to right. Many people believe this could be a supernatural presence manifesting itself as a shadow person. This combined with the dog's behavior.
No, it's just the way the light's coming in through the window. It makes like a little bit of a ripple. There's probably a curtain there too, which defines it even more. Oh my God, Chills, you are reaching, bro.
Certainly seems to create a strong enough case for the paranormal. A YouTuber named MBJ Report has a pest in his yard that has been bothering his dogs, so he decides to stick a garden hose down into the ground and flood it out of its den. Now they are waiting with a net to catch the pest and dispose of it if necessary. It isn't long before he sees 2 glowing eyes appear out of a second hole in the distance. This appears to be no ordinary pest, but rather a monster instead.
It's something. I don't know what that is.
It remains frozen in the beam of the flashlight for a while, hoping that he will leave it alone. Then the creature drops back into the ground below with a shriek. MBJ Report has had enough and decides to pull the creature up by its tail. He pulls back a red hand with a deep cut, which I unfortunately can't show here, and the video ends. I notice that the creature doesn't really move its limbs at all, and possibly looks like a toy, though I can be wrong. Even still, that doesn't explain the glowing red eyes though. So if you think you can tell if this is fake or real, then be sure to tell me how you know. Number 6.
Because you can see red in one eye, yellow in the other eye, like it is literally a toy with the light shining through its eyes. And it doesn't move, it just goes, and it's gone. Don't know. Man, Chills, what are you doing to me, bro?
A YouTuber named Jay Katera lives outside of an Air Force base somewhere in the southeast Michigan. He has been seeing some strange things in the sky lately, so he decides to point his security camera straight up and live stream. Not too long after, he captures this strange sighting. Jay Katera isn't sure if this is an alien UFO, a secret government project, or some sort of paranormal orb, but he is sure that it was scanning the ground as if it was looking for something. Let me know if you have a reasonable explanation for this.
That is a drone, dude. That is a drone.
Or if you've seen anything that looks similar, especially if you live in the same state as the cameraman. This plane is heading to...
It looks like a drone. It looks exactly like the drone that I have.
to Jamaica when a much smaller object zooms by at an equal rate of speed, if not faster. It's hard to tell what this fast-moving sighting could possibly be, but I doubt it's another plane off in the distance, because air control makes sure that the planes always fly far away from each other, and usually at different altitudes. Whatever this is, if it had made contact with the plane while traveling at such a high rate of speed, I'm almost positive no one would have survived. Give me your best guess as to what you think this was.
That I don't know. It wouldn't be a bird because that's high. I don't know what that is.
I will say that I have found other similar videos taken by YouTubers flying over Jamaica, so maybe there is something strange, mysterious, and unsolved about the airspace over that region in general. Number 5. This leaked video comes from the Kaluzhsky airport in Russia. One of the planes loses all stability and wobbles unsteadily, trying its best to navigate a safe path through heavy air currents. The pilot continues to wrestle with the controls, which are becoming more unstable by the minute, and I think I see a small fire under the wheel. If he misses the runway here, there's no circling around for a second chance. The wings dip unevenly as the plane disappears behind the tree line. No one can see what is happening and they listen for the worst. A short while later, the plane miraculously emerges from behind the trees and touches down. The passengers get to live another day. Number 4.
Oh, I would never I would never be on another plane ever. I would take a boat. Because then you get rogue waves. I'd stay where I was at.
A YouTuber named Lou Rock is live streaming from a supposedly haunted location, known only as the Yellow House. He and his friend are cautiously poking around the abandoned building when a faint noise sends them running directly into a large room to investigate. The room is bare except for an inordinate number of gnarled clothes hangers in the closet, which begin twisting in unison, almost as if in acknowledgement of their presence.
There's not a window open in here. Wow.
This is on live stream, so you can see for yourself. At no point did they touch the hangers. I think the hangers really are being moved by an unseen force based on what I'm about to show you next. As you can see from this video, there is no wind moving the blinds or curtains at all, so it couldn't have been a draft moving the hangers. They continue to find more weird miscellaneous objects scattered around the house, including a rope tied to a ripped kid's shoe.
It looks like somebody was hung up by their feet.
Giant holes have been punched into the wall of this room, either from destructive teens or from the previous house.
From destructive teens. Now, as for the hangers, if the place has, a ceiling at all, and it's not flat, like it goes up into a point, that means there's vents up there to circulate air. All houses have. There could have been a hole in the ceiling, the wind could have been blowing outside, blowing through the vents, causing a draft in the closet, making them barely move. Shutting you down, bruh.
Owner during an aggressive fit of rage. Just as they are sensing something deeply wrong with the kitchen, something brings them back into the room with blown out walls.
Yeah, me too.
What's that?
They are genuinely creeped out by now and don't make it much further before the sound returns again.
Alright, we're out of here.
At this point, Lou Rock wisely decides to leave before he becomes the Yellow House's next permanent resident. Justin White and his friends sneak into the abandoned LA Zoo, which is supposedly one of the most haunted places in the entire city. It's too dark to see much, but they seem to be followed by strange sounds that are getting progressively closer. By the end of the video, it really does seem as though something is right on them.
Oh my God! Christ! What the hear that? Actually hear that?
I just felt something on my arm, like I'm not even joking.
We're leaving. Dunzo.
Oh my God, Dunzo.
Twigs snap underfoot just behind them. It couldn't have been one of them because everybody in the group is standing completely still on camera when it happens. Oh, and there's another piece of evidence that
It's
makes me
like,
think
no,
this.
I'm done. You two can. I like that guy. He's like, nope, I'm out. I'm getting out right now. Get my way.
You really might be haunted. They managed to capture a soft voice on camera that they later enhanced for clarity. It sounds like a girl's voice, and she seems to have a clear warning. Number 3, a YouTube.
I heard nothing. Could not tell you what they said. Sorry.
YouTuber named Richard 205 Maria believes that some kind of advanced life form is following his every move, so he sets up surveillance equipment around his house. He finds this strange creature flying around his yard at around 6 in the morning shortly thereafter. The glowing all-white apparition looks relatively small and is so fast that the camera has a hard time capturing any details. We can vaguely see 4 humanoid limbs and perhaps a set of wings as well, though it's hard to tell for sure. It appears to fly headfirst with its arms stiffly sat at its sides, a strange characteristic for almost any creature of flight on this planet. I think there is a strong possibility that this could be CGI, but I can't eliminate the possibility of an insect, a reflection of light, or even otherworldly contact. I encourage you to watch the other videos on Richard's channel and tell me if you think he has an extraterrestrial following him or not.
No.
Number 2. Fausto Perez believes he has forged a spiritual connection with an extraterrestrial. He sets up a camera to demonstrate his capabilities and waits for a response.
And this guy come to me, give me a sign, help me advance to a higher level of consciousness, let me see you.
Less than 10 minutes later, he and his team spot a foreign white square twisting in the wind. This is what he affectionately refers to as a flying carpet, as it's apparently just one of the many regular visitors he receives from the sky. Whatever this square-shaped object is, it has to be absolutely huge to be visible from this far away. Only one of the cameras manages to catch it. Overall, no one can say for sure if this is a real encounter or a mere coincidence. If Fausto is wrong about this extraterrestrial sighting, then I have no idea what it could actually be. I've got a challenge for
I got a challenge for you. Come up with more scarier things. I don't know. I think
button to find out. Number 1. This YouTuber is recording the wall of his school when an all-white face peeks out from around the corner. When he goes to investigate, the supposed spirit is completely gone. The spirit itself looks very blurry and is probably CGI, although I could very well be wrong. Maybe someone with more knowledge on special effects could give me more info. Thanks for checking out this video.
That was the worst top 15 ever. Good lord. Excuse me. I'm glad it's over.
Today's episode deals almost exclusively with suicide and with depression, and so I wanted to start this.
That's right. We're ending with a little bit of MR.BALLEN. Why? Because I love ending with MR.BALLEN. That's not right. Let's see what he says.
Today's episode deals almost exclusively with suicide and with depression, and so I wanted to start this by saying if you or someone you know is struggling with mental health, there are resources that can help you. I've left a number of them in the description below. But
yes, most definitely. Anyone out there suffering with anything like that, please, most definitely call someone, talk to a loved one. Okay, that's let's get to it.
in the early early 1980s, Richard Sumner was in his 20s, and he was a scenic designer for a major opera house just outside of London. Richard was a truly gifted artist and was known to be a very intelligent man. In 1984, when Richard was 29, he started to notice he was having a really hard time focusing. Like he couldn't keep basic information straight in his head. It would just get all jumbled up, and it was making his job exponentially more difficult. Initially, Richard assumed it must just be the product of working lots of long hours and being under lots of pressure all the time. But after taking a few days off from work, his mental focus did not come back. In fact, it only got worse. And so when he told his friends and his colleagues about it, they urged him to go see a doctor. And so finally he did. He went to a doctor, and the doctor put him through a series of tests and was really only able to rule out different medical conditions. They were not able to pinpoint what was actually causing this mental disturbance. And so Richard was pretty frustrated because he thought by going to the doctor, they would figure out what it was and, give him a pill and that would make everything better, but that wasn't happening. He was left with a lot of questions. And so Richard went to another doctor and another doctor for additional opinions, and they too were not able to get to the bottom of what was going on with him. And so finally, Richard found himself sitting across from a psychologist asking them if they had the answer. And they did. They informed Richard that he was unfortunately developing schizophrenia. Schizophrenia is a very serious mental disorder in which people interpret reality abnormally. Schizophrenics usually experience some combination of hallucinations, delusions, extremely disordered thinking and behavior that can be disabling. Richard was horrified at this diagnosis, and he asked a psych, what can I do? How can I get better? And the psych would tell him that unfortunately there is no cure for schizophrenia. However, medical treatment has been shown to be very effective in some people, especially when it's caught early. And it seems like we're catching your disorder fairly early. And so Richard immediately began the medical treatment plan, and he seemed to be one of the lucky few that benefited tremendously from it. In fact, within just days of being told of this diagnosis, he was back to work at the opera house. But over the years, despite Richard diligently staying on his medical treatment plan, he just continued to kind of spiral because of this disorder, and it was becoming more and more apparent at work that Richard was just not the same anymore. He had lost that mental focus that he was known for, and he was perpetually fatigued. And so in 1996, so 12 years after his original diagnosis, Richard finally had to step away from his job at the opera house. He just couldn't do the work anymore. Although Richard was eligible for governmental assistance because of his schizophrenia, the money he would receive from those benefits would not be enough to cover the costs associated with living in his flat in London. And so he was forced to move back home with his family in North Wales. Even though his family welcomed him with open arms, Richard immediately felt like he was this huge burden to them, and within a year of having moved back home, Richard had fallen into this deep, dark depression, and he decided he did not want to live anymore. So one day that fall, Richard left his house and he walked to a store where he purchased handcuffs. And then he took those handcuffs, he left the store, and he walked away from town towards this secluded forest that was not too far away. And when he got to the forest, he picked a trail and he started walking down it, and he kept looking over his shoulder until finally he could not actually see the town anymore. He was fairly far into these woods. At that point, he deviated off of the trail and walked for several more minutes until he came to a stop in front of this tree that had some fairly thick, low-hanging branches. At that point, he took his handcuffs and he connected one cuff to one of these branches and made sure it would not come off, and then he connected the other cuff to his right wrist. And once he was fully secured, he leaned back against the tree and he began to wait. It's unclear what drove Richard to choose such a slow and torturous method for ending his life, but apparently after 4 days of leaning up against this tree and not dying, he began to have second thoughts about it. He was desperately hungry and thirsty and extremely tired because he was in this kind of semi-upright position that didn't really allow him to sleep. And he just ached from standing and kind of hanging on his wrist for as long as he had been. And he was worried that he was still days away from dying. He also started to feel really bad about the effect his death would have on his family. They loved him, and even though they knew he was depressed, they were not thinking he was suicidal. And so this would be a huge shock, and it would be extremely upsetting for years and years to come. Richard also started thinking about the poor soul that was going to stumble across his body in the middle of the woods after he had passed, and he thought what a terrible thing for someone to have to go through. And so on the night of the 4th day that he's been out in the woods chained up to this tree, Richard finally decides that he just can't go through with it. And so with his left hand, his free hand, he reaches into his pocket, he gets the handcuff key, and just a couple of seconds later, he's out, he's free. And so he hobbles his way back to the path and he makes his way out of the forest and walks all the way home. When he goes inside, his sister is there and she's totally shocked to see him. She sees the state he's in and she's asking, are you okay? What have you been doing? Where have you been? We've been so worried. And that's when Richard confides in her that he had been in the forest and he had just attempted suicide. And so his sister is totally devastated at this news, and she tries to comfort him and remind him that she and the rest of the family loves him, and please, please don't attempt suicide again. We can get you help. We can put you in touch with professionals. We can do anything you want, but please don't do something you can't undo. Richard didn't make any promises to her, but he was very touched at how much she cared. He thanked her, he gave her a hug, and then he went to his room and he went to bed. The next morning when Richard got up, he had this sense that, he had just survived a suicide attempt. And so in many ways, he now had this new life he was living. And so what better time to kind of forge ahead and build a new life with the current construct and the current limitations that he had, and stop focusing so much on the life that he had lost back in London, because that life doesn't exist anymore. And so for the next couple of years, Richard did just focus on his new life in North Wales. He was diligent about keeping up with his medical treatments. He tried to spend time with his family. He was doing all the right things, but his schizophrenia only got worse. And one of the ways it was really manifesting itself in his life was this deep-seated paranoia that his family secretly did not want him in the house, that they looked at him as this parasite, as he called it. And so he really developed this awful view of himself, and he fell back into a very deep...
Schizophrenia is no joke, yo. Like, it's up there with Alzheimer's, dementia. Your brain is a magnificent thing, it really is, but when it turns on you, it's not pretty in any way, shape, or form. And these are feelings that he can't control. It's a lot like PTSD. You have people come back from war and they are paranoid that every loud noise is a bomb, or a car backfire is a gunshot. It's something that it just never goes away, and over time it can get worse. Unfortunately, my mother, extra granny, she has schizophrenia, and she does take medicines and stuff like that. It is very well controlled, but there's times where she thinks everyone hates her, no one loves her, people are out to get her. And you can tell she doesn't want to feel like that, but it's just there. It's something that doesn't go away, and it truly scares you, even though we reassure her constantly. That's not the case. It's just, yeah. This poor guy.
State of depression, and before long he was suicidal again. And so in 1999, which is 3 years after his first suicide attempt, Richard decided he would try again. He got his handcuffs and he left the house without talking to his family, and he walked to that secluded forest on the edge of town. He went down the trail, he veered off, he found a tree with some sturdy low-hanging branches, and he cuffed himself to it and began the long wait. But after only being there for a couple of hours, Richard started to have those same second thoughts he had while he was out here in his first attempt. He started to worry about his family, and he worried about the person who was going to find his body, and he couldn't help but think about how painful and miserable those 4 days had been when he was out there waiting to die. And so after agonizing over what he should do next, Richard ultimately decided that again he just couldn't go through with it, and so he pulled the key out of his pocket, he undid the cuff, and he left the forest and he walked back home. After this second suicide attempt, Richard again tried to find meaning in having this new life, but he just couldn't shake this growing paranoia brought on by his schizophrenia that his family secretly wanted him to leave the house, that he was this parasite and that they all hated him, he was this terrible person, and it was just overwhelming for Richard. And so eventually he would actually confide in his sister that he felt this way, that he felt like he was this leech on the family, and she would say, "No, Richard, we love you unconditionally. intentionally. We want you here. Do not leave. This is your home. But Richard just couldn't believe her. That paranoia was so strong, he just couldn't see reality for what it was. And so in April of 2002, which was 3 years after his second suicide attempt, Richard grabbed the handcuffs and headed out for another attempt. But after securing himself to a tree in the middle of the forest, once again, his conscience cut through all the chaos inside of his mind and told him, don't do it. And he listened. But this time, after freeing himself and getting back home, he didn't feel any sense of relief or any desire to kind of live this new life he's been given. Instead, he longed to be back in the forest, chained up to a tree. He confided in his sister that he had now tried suicide 3 separate times, and he was just at a loss for what he should do next. And so, of course, his sister is totally shocked and saddened by this news, and she tells him over and over again how much she loves him, and please do not go back in that forest. Do not hurt yourself. And in fact, his sister would go on to tell the rest of the family about these suicide attempts. And so before long, the whole family is telling Richard how much they love him and that he's not a parasite. Let us know how we can help you, or let us connect you to someone who can. But it was just not enough. And less than a week after his third failed suicide attempt, Richard grabbed his handcuffs, he left the house, and began walking towards that secluded forest for one final try. That night, when Richard did not come home, the family obviously was very concerned about this, and so they called the police and they reported him missing, and they explained he was suicidal and that the best place to look for him was going to be in that forest. But after several days of looking all over town and out in that forest, the police could not find Richard or any trace of him, and so unfortunately they had to turn the search off. And so the family was crushed, and all they could do was just hope and pray that Richard again changed his mind and came back home. 3 years later, a woman and her 2 dogs decided to go out for a walk inside of that secluded North Wales forest. At some point on their walk, they left the path and got kind of lost in the thick of the forest. And so as she's walking around trying to get her bearings, trying to figure out where the trail is, she winds up going behind this one big tree, and she enters into this clearing, and on the other side of the clearing, up against this tree, are the badly decomposed remains of Richard Sumner. Out of fear, she reflexively turns and runs with her 2 dogs and just keeps on running until she actually does find the trail again. And so once she's on the trail, she kind of makes a mental note of where she is, and then she runs out of the forest and she contacts authorities about the body she saw. And so the authorities, they come out to the forest and they eventually are able to find Richard's location. And initially, they believed they were dealing with a murder victim because they see this body that's been handcuffed to a tree. But after police went through Richard's pockets and found a house key that had an address on it, they went to that address and it turned out it was Richard's family's house. And after speaking with them, the police were able to confirm that the body they had just found was in fact Richard Sumner, the suicidal man that had gone missing 3 years earlier, and so almost certainly his death was a suicide. Even though this looked like a total open and shut case, the medical examiner still needed to officially rule on the cause of death. And so the medical examiner went out into the woods, he went right up to Richard, and he began looking him over, and right away he noticed some disturbing discrepancies. There were deep scuff marks all around the branch where the handcuff had been connected to the tree. And the other handcuff that was connected to Richard's wrist had been jammed up over his thumb all the way up to his knuckles. The examiner asked the police in the area if anybody had found the handcuff key, and they said they had. It was laying on the ground about 15 feet in front of Richard Sumner. And that's when the medical examiner realized the horrible truth about what most likely happened to Richard. In his report, the medical examiner theorized that Richard had indeed gone into this forest in order to commit suicide. He had walked over 200 yards into this forest, way off the beaten path, into the deepest, thickest part where no people went, and he most likely went there because he specifically didn't want anyone to happen upon him. He wanted privacy.
And he threw the key just in case he changed his mind. He wouldn't be able to get out.
And then after handcuffing himself to that branch of that tree, he did something that he did not do in his previous 3 suicide attempts. He He pulled the handcuff key out of his pocket, and then he threw it in front of him so far that he could not get it back again. And then, tragically, Richard came to the same conclusion that he had come to in his previous 3 attempts. He realized he did not actually want to die. He couldn't get to the key, and when he yelled out for help, he was so far away from society, no one could hear his voice. And so for the next several agonizing days, Richard yanked and tugged and pulled on that handcuff until finally he painfully got the cuff to slip up over his thumb all the way up to his knuckle, but he just couldn't get it to go over his knuckle. And he didn't have a knife to cut the branch down or to even cut his own hand off. And so he used the cuff that was actually on the branch and began twisting it back and forth to maybe hopefully saw through the branch, but there just wasn't enough friction inside that cuff, and so it made almost no progress. Also, Richard probably tried to pull and yank on the branch itself to try to break it to free himself that way, but without a tool, there was no way he could have broken this branch. It was just too sturdy. And so after what must have been several horrifying days, Richard ultimately died of a heart attack out of fear of the situation he had put himself in, or he died from starvation. As a result of his findings, the medical examiner was not able to label Richard Sumner's death a suicide. He basically had to call it an accident. So that's going to do it, guys. But before we wrap up, I just want to say to all the people out there that are struggling, that are maybe thinking about suicide or harming themselves in some way, stop and tell someone. Tell someone you love, tell someone you trust. And if you don't want to do that, then just call this number. They are open 24 hours a day. There are trained professionals on the other side of that line that know how to help you. You just got to call. Help is available. You are not alone.
Oh, he's 24 hours a day. Most definitely. All these numbers right here on the screen, I will move myself so you can see them. All these numbers right here. Give them a call. Don't do anything drastic. There's someone out there that loves you at all times, whether you believe it or not. Give this most, yeah. Alright. He does, I mean, Mr. Bone, y'all. Alright, so I'm calling it quits there. I don't want to do no more. I'm done. I'm glad we ended with Mr. Bone because that's messed me up for the rest of the day now. Alright. Yeah. That was sad. Alright, so that's it. I'm outing. So, if you are a fan of this spooky, scary, strange, or deranged, think about subscribing. Definitely give a thumbs up. Like the videos. It helps out a lot. And, as always, be good to each other. I'll see you in the next one.